Om Om Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Namah Shri Shankarananda Gurupadam Pujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmane. Hari Om. We are in the concluding session of Tatwa Vivekah. This is our 62nd episode of the great vision of Vedanta. Tatwa Vivekah is the chapter 1 of Panchadashi by Swami Vidyaranya. It's a very, very powerful book, powerful text on self-realization and the means to self-realization, the obstacles towards self-realization. All these topics are discussed. So the previous verse that we saw, 54th verse, Tabhyam nirvichikitse arthe chetasaha sthapitasya yat ekatanatvam etadhi nididhyasana muchyate. For example, Tabhyam, by these two, what are the two? The earlier ones, Shravanam and Mananam. Shravanam is to listen and Mananam is to reflect upon. Nirvichikitse arthe, to well inquire and ascertain what we have listened and what we have reflected, it should become very clear in our minds. Chetasaha sthapitasya yat, that which is established, the meaning of the Mahavakya has to be established in our mind. Ekatanatvam etadhi. So once the meaning is established, focusing on the meaning and meditating, nididhyasana uchyate. It is called nididhyasana. So the three means for attaining that knowledge of the self thoroughly is imbibing that knowledge is called Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Shravanam is listening. That listening will remove the misconception that the truth is not there. So Shravanam will conclude, yes, the truth is there. Mananam will remove the doubt in our mind. I don't know the truth. I don't experience the truth. So I don't know about the truth. That is Mananam I cannot see the truth. Mananam will remove that. Nididhyasanam will remove the doubt that I do not experience the truth. That will be removed by Nididhyasana. So the final stages is verse 55. Dhyatra dhyane parityajya kramadhyeyaika gocharam nivata deepavat chittam samadhir abhidhiyate. Nivata deepavat. There is a lamp that's burning behind. It is not having any wind to move it because it is encased in a glass dome. So it is a nivata deepa. There is no air around that lamp to push it here and there, so it is very steady. In the same way, chittam, or the mind, which is associated with the sense organs of perception and sense organs of action, all the sense objects plus the mind is called the chittam. The sense objects means the 5 organs of perception and the 5 organs of action. They have their respective objects or go-to thoughts or go-to places. That together with the mind is very steady, meaning the form and the mind are steady. So the mind is not disturbed by the form. The sound and the mind are steady. The mind is not disturbed by the sounds it hears. The smell and the mind are steady. The taste and the mind are steady. The feeling and the mind are steady. The speech and the mind are steady. The grasping and the mind are steady. The walking and the mind are steady. The reproducing and the mind are steady. Means all actions are happening with clarity. And excreting and the mind are steady. So the chittam is the 10 aspects plus the mind. 10 sense organs plus the mind is chittam. That is nivata deepavat. The chittam, or that aspect of the mind which is in contact with the sense organs and sense objects, is very steady and unmoving, and that is called samadhi. What is samadhi? Samyak adhiyate manaha. Samyak adhanam. The mind is very well established in something. So that is why even in Bharatanatyam, when you want to show Shivalinga, they show Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham, where the mind is rooted in the self. That's called Samadhi Sthiti, that is Shiva. Nivata Deepavat Chittam Samadhihi Abhidhiyate. When does this happen? When does the Samadhi happen? Dhyatru Dhyane Parityajya. When we are seated in meditation, there are three aspects that are there in the state of meditation. One is the Dhyatru, Dhyata. Dhyata is the meditator. That is I, this person. Then you have the Dhyana, the meditating. The meditator and the meditating are secondary, not giving import. It is not that they are not there. It is not that meditation is not happening or there is no meditator in this place. I just fool myself into saying that I am empty space sitting here. No. I accept that there is this person. I accept that this person is sitting in meditation or trying to do meditation. But in my understanding, in my reflection, I remove the importance that I give to the meditator and the action of meditating, and I focus on the object of meditation. Dhyeya. Dhyeya Rupa Eka Gocharam. So the mind is steady. It is not moving. It is not carried away by the sense organs towards the sense objects. The mind is very steady. And now the mind is focused towards Dhyeya Vastu. What is the Dhyeya Vastu? It can be Ishvara. It can be Guru. It can be the thought of Aham Brahmasmi or Tatwamasi. That is the Dhyeya Vastu. Dhyeya Kramat Parityajya. So, Kramat means in order. Give up the attention on the Dhyata or the Dhyatru, the one who is a meditator. Give up your focus on the meditating, the action. Give up your focus on that. Then, Parityajya is giving it up. Kramat, step by step. Dhyeya Eka Gocharam. Take all your senses and apply the mind towards the object of meditation, which means it can be even imaginary. If I am hearing the Brahman, what would I hear? If I am seeing the Brahman, what would I see? If I am smelling the Brahman, what would I smell? If I am tasting the Brahman, what would I taste? If I am feeling the Brahman, how would I feel? If I am in the presence of the Brahman, how would I think? If I am in the presence of the Brahman, how would I behave? If I am in the presence of the Brahman, what kind of experiences will I have? Just keep the mind in all these thoughts alone related to the Brahman. Then it becomes Nivata Deepavat. The mind becomes steady, because it is now touching the Brahman. It is focusing its attention on the Brahman. It has removed its attention from the world of objects of sight, smell, taste, touch, and feeling, and talking, grasping, walking, reproducing, excreting. It's removed its attention from all the 5 actions and the 5 perceptions. It is placing its attention only on the Brahman through all the senses. There is a very beautiful Tirumandiram in Tamil. உள்ளம் பெருங்கோயில் ஊனுடம்பாலயம் வள்ளல் பிரானார்க்கு வாய் கோபுரவாசல் தெள்ளத் தெளிவார்க்கு ஜீவன் சிவலிங்கம் கள்ளப்புலனைந்தும் காளாமணி விளக்கே. உள்ளம் பெரும் கோயில். This whole experience within, this feeling of presence within is a very big temple. Kovil means the place where God lives. Unudambu alayam, the house of that God is this body. Vallal Piranark, for the great people, for the self-realized ones, why Gopura Vasal? Whatever enters, Gopura Vasal is, the Gopuram is a temple tower. So what enters into our mouth? Good food enters into our mouth. Prana enters into the mouth in the form of food. Why Gopura Vasal? So there may be many tastes and there may be many textures and there may be many conditions to that food. But when it enters, it is prana. Why Gopura Vasal? Tellat Telivarku. For people who have contemplated and meditated very well, this life within, this life force that sustains the body is Shivalingam. It is Shivalingam. That energy, the globe, the cylindrical energetic force, that's Shivalingam. Tellat Telivarku Jivan Shivalingam. And what are, if the Jivan is the Shivalingam, it is there inside the temple, then what do the lamps do? Kallapulanaindum. All the five senses are lamps which are always burning, which keeps lighting this Shivalingam and allowing it to be revealed to everybody else. The lamps of the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue and the skin. Everything points out to that Jiva, which is that Shiva, which is inside the body. Nivata Deepavat Chittam Samadhihi Abhidiyate. Being in the state of Samadhi is keeping the mind in a steady state. So there are three types of Samadhi. One is Jada Samadhi. Jada Samadhi means there is some influence around me. It might be because of the pranayama, the yoga, the meditation, the posture, the ambience of the room, the presence of some great masters around, and the presence, whatever may happen, which is induced to the state of Samadhi. Like sleep, something has induced the state of sleep. Something that has induced the state of Samadhi, that state of Samadhi or that state of stillness of mind has not been evoked by me. It has not been caused by me. It has happened by the way, like something happens in nature. At that time, everything feels very good. So I am in that state of Samadhi. That is called Jada Samadhi. When that situation changes, this Samadhi also will go away. Then you have Bhava Samadhi. Jada Samadhi will be tamasic in nature because it is not happening with our control. It is happening because of the quietness of the body. Just like when the body becomes quiet, the mind goes to sleep. When the body becomes quiet, the mind can also be in a state of Samadhi. With practice, the mind can be still. So that is Jada Samadhi. Then you have Bhava Samadhi. Bhava Samadhi is when some thought, some feeling, some emotion, some divine entity, some Ishvara that we have an experience of, we pray to, induced by them, induced by that situation is Bhava Samadhi. Jada Samadhi will be induced by something that is Jada, something that is very still in our surroundings. It can be the body also. It can induce into a state of Samadhi. Bhava Samadhi is Rajasic in nature, which means there is still some outside support that the mind is dependent on. Jnana Samadhi is Sattvic in nature, where the mind creates a thought, meditates on that thought, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. The mind invokes that thought, meditates on that thought, and because of that meditation, because of that quietness that is induced while meditating about that Mahavakya, the mind attains the state of Samadhi that is called Jnana Samadhi, where the knowledge of who I am is there in that Samadhi. In the other two Samadhis, the knowledge of who I am is not there. We are focused on the divinity, on that presence, on the deity, on that God. And it is because we are focused on that, the mind is quiet. So that is Bhava Samadhi. So in the first aspects of Samadhi, which is Jada Samadhi, the mind has been absorbed by that inert object, which can be the body also. The mind has been absorbed, and so the mind is in a state of check and control, and it is very quiet. That is Jada Samadhi. When one meditates on one's true nature and attains a state of self-absorption, ignorance of the self and false notion of finitude is also destroyed. And even when he comes out of this state of self-realization, never disappears. For the one who has attained Jnana Samadhi, or the Jivan Mukta Purusha, even if he may be interacting with the world, even if he may be doing something in the world or engaging in the world of actions, his state of Samadhi is not disturbed at all. He is never again deluded, whatever state he may be in. So this is called Sahaja Samadhi, or the natural state of self-absorption. So the next verse, Vrittayastu tadanim jnata apyatma gocharaha smaranadhanumiyante vyutthitasya samuthitat. Here, Swami Vidyaranya Maharaj is taking examples from the Yoga Sutras to describe that state of Samadhi. Vrittayaha, the thoughts, tu, indeed, tadanim, then during Samadhi, ajñātāha, the thoughts are not known during the state of Samadhi, api, even then, atmagocharaha, the thought about the self, smaranat, by the memory, anumiyante, they are inferred, vyutthitasya samuthitat. So, it's just like sleep. I go to sleep. When I am sleeping, I am not aware that I am sleeping, because when I am sleeping, the I don't know thought is a continuous thought. There is one unshaking continuous thought which is called the I don't know thought in the state of sleep. And when do I come to know about that I don't know, or I slept well? I slept well is Anvaya. I don't know is Vyatireka. Anvaya means focusing on what is there. Vyatireka is checking out what has been cancelled. I slept well. We don't say while sleeping I slept well. Nor do we say I don't know anything in the state of sleep. If we know something, then we are not sleeping. So when we wake up, we say I slept well and I don't know anything. I didn't know a thing. In the same way, when we are in the state of Samadhi, we will not be able to say anything, because when we say something, the Samadhi sthiti has gone. It has got disturbed. So when we are in the state of Samadhi, we are experiencing the truth. But when we come out of that state of Samadhi, we say, I was very calm. I had the experience of that one thought of the self only in the state of Samadhi. Even that is not said. But just like sleep, and but the other thoughts are not there. How the other thoughts are not there? When we go by flight, all the other people in the ground that we leave behind, they're all left behind. We don't get to see them in that flight. But we are able to see ourselves in that flight, leave alone the other people in the flight, which are equal to the other people. Just imagine you're traveling on a only one flight, a one-person flight with the pilot alone in the cockpit. So you cannot see anybody else in that flight, but you can see yourself. In the same way, you cannot see any other thoughts in that deep state of samadhi, but you do get to see yourself. And when do you say that? When you come out of samadhi, you say, I was in samadhi. I was in samadhi means my mind was steady. The mind was changeless. The mind was absorbed in that one thought of the self. The mind was not moving here and there, hankering between objects, people, emotions, situations, and things. Worries, anxieties, tensions. My mind was just quiet. And all I knew is that I am. That alone I know. So that is that state of samadhi. Such beautiful verses are there. Vrittinam anuvrittistu prayatnat prathamadapi adrishta sakrit abhyasa samskara sachivat bhavet. So very beautiful. The process of the samadhi, or how exactly it happens, is being given here. Vrittinam, of all the thoughts, anuvrittihi, tu, the thoughts are continuously flowing. Prayatnat, by efforts. Prathamat, prior. Even adrishta, the merits of previous births. Asakrit, repeated. Abhyasa, samskara. Abhyasa is practice. Samskara sachivat, with the help of impressions. Bhavet. How does the samadhi happen? The samadhi happens by two means. One is by abhyasa. Constant practice of quietening the mind creates an impression in the mind. When we constantly practice something, whether it's a musical instrument, whether it is a game, it is a sport, or whether it is some activity, or even if we are constantly practicing without our awareness, we are constantly practicing speaking badly. Very automatically we will be speaking badly wherever we go. Or we constantly cultivate good relationships. Wherever we go, we will have good relationships. If we constantly practice some music, or practice some subject, or practice some study, or practice some thought, that will create an impression in our mind. That impression will create that state of samadhi, abhyasa. And the other thing is samskara. Samskara means the impression. Abhyasa is the impression that I have practiced and created. Samskara is the impression that somebody else has given to me. We have Shodasha samskaras. The 16 samskaras, Jatakaranam, Namakaranam, everything is a samskara that's given to us. Meaning somebody from outside us. It can be the parent, it can be the guru, it can be the masters who have created an impression in our mind about what is good. Jatakaranam, meaning whatever is, when the person is born, whatever needs to be done for that baby is being done. The cleaning up and the swaddling, and then the placing in the cradle, and welcoming the baby, Jatakaranam. Then Namakaranam, the baby's name is given. Suppose the baby's name is Shambhavi. Everybody will go and whisper in the name of the ear of the baby, Tvam Shambhavi Asi, Tvam Shambhavi Asi, Tvam Shambhavi Asi. 3 times they will whisper the name. Namakaranam, samskara is being given. And then Chaulam, the hair is being shaved, or if it's a boy, they have the kudumi, whatever what is it called? That the tuft of hair is kept, Chaulam. Then you have Karnarandhram, piercing the ears, Karna Bhedanam, piercing the ears. And then you have Upanayanam, it's a samskara. So samskara, when all these samskaras are given to us, when all good inputs are given to us by society, such people also can become very meditative. When you have the guru, when you have the right connection, when people at home are making you do the right things, and develop the right habits. And samskara also means in your past births, whatever impressions you have brought with you, that's also samskara. That also is caused by abhyasa and samskara. So samskara basically is giving the impression from outside. Abhyasa is bringing the impression from within us with our own efforts. So with abhyasa, with samskara, adrishta, asakrita. Adrishta means the merits of previous births. That's where adrishta means all the punya karma that I have done, good deeds I have done, it gives me a lot of punya. And asakrit, repeated abhyasa. Even though there is no deliberate effort to keep the mind on the self during samadhi, even though I am not consciously trying to keep the mind quiet in the state of samadhi, by repeated practices and impressions created by efforts prior to the achievement of samadhi. It's not only previous life, repeated practice of the samadhi and repeated efforts that were made by this individual before attaining the state of samadhi in this lifetime and previous lifetimes, aided by merits of previous births. There is a continuous flow of the experience of the self during samadhi. The mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. Now, in the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state, in the waking state, we are experiencing thoughts of the world. In the dream state, we are experiencing the dream thoughts. It's a continuous flow of dream thoughts. In the deep sleep state, we are experiencing a continuous flow of no thought. In the samadhi state, we are experiencing the continuous flow of I thought, the self thought in samadhi. And this continuous flow happens because of our purva janma punya karma, because of the good deeds, meritorious actions that we have done in the past, that individual has done in the past, and yielding its results in this lifetime, and in the practice and in the previous impressions of practice of samadhi. Long regular practice creates deep impressions of meditation. Merits of previous births and the grace of the Lord also add on, and also the momentum caused by the practice of meditation before attaining samadhi. Then why do we awaken from samadhi? Just like why do we get up from sleep? We get up from sleep because we have to work to do the next day. If we don't have many mothers, many wives, housewives, homemakers, when their husbands are out of station, they don't have, and children have to go somewhere and they are not there at home. Only that woman is there at home. She will just relax and wake. She will not wake up early in the morning. She will just, if she's given herself the permission to relax. There may be women who don't give permission for that also. They're very particular about the timings and their schedule. But if suppose nobody is there at home and she's got nothing to really do at home, she can just take that day off and she will sleep as much as she wants and relax and get up at her own time. In the same way, if we don't have any desire to be fulfilled in this earth, if we don't have anything to achieve in this world, we can be in the state of samadhi and nothing will awaken us. But if we have that karma, the impressions of our actions are there in the form of vasanas, then we will wake up from samadhi just as we wake up from sleep. But being in the samadhi will also remove all those vasanas. Yatha deepo nivatastha ityadibhir anekadham bhagavan nimamevartham arjunaya nyarupayat. Bhagavan imameva artham arjunaya nyarupayat. Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he is quoting from the Swami Vidyaranya, is quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6 on meditation. Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, Yatha deepo nivatastha nengate sopama smrita. In the same way, as the lamp does not flicker, in the same way, for the person whose mind has become steady, it will not flicker. So he is talking of this verse. He is quoting Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamash atmanaha. In the same way, Yoginaha yata chittasya, the one who has tried very hard to control the chitta, the mind and the sense organs together, yunjataha yogam atmanaha, such person who has brought the mind towards the self, their mind is very steady. So just like when we are lost somewhere in the world outside, we will feel a fluttering of the heart, we will feel scared, we will feel worried, we will feel very anxious. But when we take ourselves to a very protective person whom we trust and we are very close to that person's very presence, that person's very reassurance, that person's very touch can make the heart very still, make the heart very quiet, very calm. All those feelings of fear will go away, fluttering will go away, the anxiety will go away, and we'll become very quiet. So, in the same way, the mind, which is withdrawn from all the sense objects, focuses on the self. The self is very steady, very calm, very quiet. At all times, the fluttering of the mind will stop and the mind will become very quiet. Anada viha samsare sanchita karma kotayah anena vilayam yanti shuddho dharmo vivardhate. So what happens? It's from the Yoga Sutra here. It's talking of Dharma Mega Samadhi. This one as well as the next verse. What is the phalashruti of making the mind quiet? Whenever we do something because it will give us something in return. So what is this quietening of the mind give us in return? Anada viva samsare. Anadau iha samsari. From the beginningless time in the samsara, meaning birth, life, experiences and death, living, being born, experiencing life and experiencing death, experiencing birth, life and death. So this is called samsara and this is anadi. There is no beginning to this. It has always been there. I've always been in this samsara. Sanchit, in that time, as I'm living, karma kotayaha, I am accumulating the results of crores and crores of actions. In one day also we may do crores of actions. We don't know. Actions through thoughts, actions through our words, actions through our physical body, actions through our emotions, and actions mentally also, intellectually also. In many ways we do actions. Or non-action is also action. Karma kotayaha. All these actions and non-actions will yield their results. Anadau iva samsare. In this beginningless time of samsara or modification and change. Anena vilayam yati. Because of this state of samadhi, it will attain vilayam. It will get dissolved completely. Yanti. Then shuddho dharmo vivartate. Shuddha dharmaha. All our pure qualities. Now we will not have rajasic and tamasic qualities, which are imprinted in us because of our repetitive wrong actions in so many lifetimes together. All those will just drop in the state of samadhi. The mind will become pure, shuddhaha, dharmaha. Pure qualities will be there. We will not lose everything. We will gain divine qualities divine qualities will exist in our mind. And that divine qualities is only called Dharma Megha Samadhi in the Yoga Sutras. Prasankyane api akusidasya sarvata vivekakyatehe dharma megaha samadhihi tataha klesha karma nivrittihi tada sarva avarana mala upetasya jnanasya anatyat nyayam alpam. When a person, the omniscience of the yogi who has a dispassion towards his power of omniscience, Omniscience means a yogi attains to that state of omniscience. I know everything. When you know the self is everywhere and in everything. So you will know everything in this world, everything in this universe will come to be known by the yogi. When the yogi is willing to relinquish that knowledge also, that knowledge is power, and that knowledge grants us control over this world, control over our surroundings, control over our circumstances and situations and other people. When I relinquish that knowledge also, that knowledge of omniscience, when I am ready to give that up, only to such a person who has that vairagya or dispassion to give up that omniscient knowledge, such a person is ever luminous and he attains dharma mega samadhi. To that person, dharma mega means like a cloud of good virtues. Even Prophet Muhammad, they used to say wherever he goes, there will be a cloud following him and giving him coolness wherever he goes. The reference is only to Dharma Mega Samadhi. It can be any great leader who have achieved great things in their life. When their mind becomes still and one pointed, then virtues will surround them and it will rain virtues. Varshati. Dharma Megham imam prahuhu samadhim yoga vittamaha. This is a state of quietness of mind where everything is not completely lost. You have not given up the world. Like when you go to sleep, you get up the next day. In the same way, when you go into samadhi, you are not relinquishing this body, mind, and intellect completely, but this body, mind, and intellect will come back into this world and engage in the world of actions. So that is called Dharma Mega Samadhi, where it rains virtues. Such people you see when great accomplishments happen through them, whatever they think of great Mahatmas. Why people go and prostrate before great Mahatmas? Because they come with certain desires. And when they prostrate and the Mahatma sees them along with their desires. The very fact that the Mahatma is paying attention to them and blessing them, their desires will get fulfilled. And that is called Dharma Mega Samadhi. Varshati yesha yataha dharma amrita dharaha sahasrashaha. In 1,000 ways, amrita dhara, immortal blessings of good virtues happen to that person in the state of Dharma Megha Samadhi. Such are the gurus and the masters who roam about this world like the spring season. Vasantavat loka hitam charantaha, says Bhagavan Sri Adi Shankaracharya in the Vivekah Chudamani. Even in the Mundaka Upanishad, there is a verse. Whatever desire, sankalpa, arises in the mind of this pure-hearted soul, he gains. If such a pure-hearted soul really desires something, that desire is manifested. Therefore, those with worldly desires worship that man of self-knowledge. The one who gets self-knowledge becomes worthy of worship by all the people of the world because they cannot fulfill their desires on their own. When they worship the man of self-knowledge or the woman of self-knowledge, their desires will be fulfilled. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati vishuddha sattva kamayate yamscha kaman tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman tasmat atmajnam hyarchayet bhutikamaha tasmat atmajnam hi archayet bhutikamaha. People who are having desires for achieving something in the world, they worship these Atmajnanis or the people who have realized the self because they are the conduits to make their wishes come true. Amuna vasana jale nishesham pravilapite samulonmulite punya papakhe karma sanchaye vakyam pratibadham sat prakparokshavaභasite Karamalakavad bodham aparoksham prasuyate. Two verses together. What obstructs self-realization? Why does one realize and another knows yet realizes not? The following two verses explain what are the obstructions to self-realization. Amuna vasana jale nishesham pravilapite. By this samadhi, vasana jale, the web of vasanas are the actions that we have done in the past, good and bad, which have the results in us in the form of impressions that set up the mind body complex to do further actions and get those results. We are wired, we are set up in such a way that we connect with the world outside, we do something and we get results from the world. Nishesham pravilapite. But this wiring is destroyed by samadhi. When we are in the state of samadhi, slowly this wiring is destroyed. Samula unmulite, it is pulled out with the roots. Punya papa akhe, all the merits and demerits, whatever good actions I have done is stored in the form of impressions of punya. Whatever wrong actions I have done is stored as the impressions of papa. Punya papa akhe, karma sanchaye. Different actions and their results are stored in me, and they prod me into more actions. So what happens? Vakyam apratibadham. The Vakyam, the Tatwamasi Vakya, Tat, that Brahman, thou art, Tatwamasi Vakya, apratibadham, free of obstacles, Sat, the truth. It reveals a truth free of obstacles. Prak, Paroksha, indirectly, Tatwamasi has been spoken to us by the Guru, the Master, from the Upanishads, indirectly. Avabhasite Tatve. When I know it indirectly, that is Paroksha. Through somebody else, I come to know of it. Tatve, that reality is known. Kara amalakavat, as if like a fruit in the palm of my hand. It is a amalaka is that gooseberry. In Tamil, it is called nellika. Why that example is given, why it is not apple, or why is it not orange, or why is it not a banana? Because it is only in that gooseberry, the skin is so thin that you can see the veins, the seeds. Also, the light can pass through the gooseberry, and you can see the inside of the fruit to some extent when you have the gooseberry in your hand and you see it. So in the same way, you get to see who I am, like how we see the gooseberry in our hand. Samula, Avabhasite Tatve, Kara Amalakavat, Aparoksham, directly. When I have the direct realization of the self, I come to know who I am as if it were like that gooseberry in the palm of my hand. Prasuyate. This Tatwamasi Mahavakya, when known through the third person, through somebody else, and also aparoksha, through that person's guidance and grace and blessings, I also come to experience the truth of the Tattvamasi Vakya. Then what happens is the knowledge of myself is delivered like the gooseberry in the palm of my hand. How does this happen? People don't realize the truth because of obstructions in the form of likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha, and then bhoga vasanas. Still, there are desires for pleasures of the world outside. So, even if I know the self and I know that I just have to abide by this and sit here quietly, I don't have anything to do in the world outside, still something shakes in me. Why not I talk to my friend? How long since I spoke to her? Why not I call her? Why not I call this person? Why not I go to that hotel and eat this? Or why not I make something very tasty for myself? Or why not I order something from Swiggy or Zomato? All these disturbances will come and the mind will get disturbed. These disturbances come because we have likes and dislikes, and we have the cravings for pleasures in our mind, embedded as seeds, which has been there since many lifetimes. Paroksham Brahma Vijnanam Shabdam Deshika Purvakam Buddhi Purvakrutam Papam Kritsnam Dahati Vahnivat. This is the Phalashruti of Brahma Vijnana. Paroksham Brahma Vijnanam. If I am listening to a master who tells that you are that Brahman, you don't have anything to worry about that. That also has its effect in my life. What effect does it have? Buddhi Purva Kritam Papam. I might have done many wrong actions in this lifetime as well as in the past, which is buddhi purvam, which with my steady thought, application of my thought, knowing something is wrong, knowing I'm harming somebody, knowing I'm creating destruction in society, imbalance in my family, doing harm to somebody else, knowingly I would have done many mistakes in my life, and those mistakes will have their impressions in me, and they will make me do those mistakes again in my life. But by mere hearing from the Guru, with love and attention, that I am the Brahman, Tatwam Asi, all these impressions will go away. It is just like some impressions can be some stains in the cloth. Suppose I'm just hanging the cloth to dry. Many times it happens. There is a mud down with all the composting work that's happening. There is a lot of muddy objects down, and the cloth just falls on that mud. The wet cloth will have mud on it, but I don't do anything. I just dust it off like that, and I hang the cloth to dry. Once the cloth is dried, I just can push away the mud, so I don't need to even rinse it. But sometimes when suppose something falls while I'm eating, some stain from a non-colored fruit is falling on the cloth, I just have to immediately take the cloth to water and rinse it, and it will go away. Sometimes I'm cutting a pomegranate and the stains fall on the cloth like drops of blood, and immediately I have to take it, and then I have to apply some detergent. Suppose some ink falls or this pomegranate stain falls, I have to apply detergent and remove it. Sometimes the stains are so deep that you need a stain remover. And here Puja Guruji has an interesting joke in this. Sometimes the stain of the cloth is so deep that how can the stain be removed? You need a scissor to cut it out. So like that, there are different types of actions that we have done in the past, causing different impressions in us, which need different kinds of treatment to be removed. All mistakes in life, all legal offenses also are not dealt with in the same manner. Somebody who steals 100 rupees from somebody who steals the credit of some person, somebody who steals even intellectual property casually, or somebody who steals 1 crore rupees from the bank, or somebody who gathers a lot of people together and steals, somebody who rapes, somebody who murders. Everybody has done some wrong thing, but everybody's punishment is not the same, because the intensity of that person has put in the action has caused such an impression in their mind that it cannot be removed with small treatments and small punishments. Aparokshatma vijnanam shabdam deshika purvakam samsara karana jnana tamasas chanda bhaskaraha. The paroksha jnanam can remove all the actions that we have done with a steady state of mind, knowingly all the wrong actions we have done, or even knowingly all the right actions that we have done with the intention that I want to get more punya in this life. We have done right actions as well as wrong actions, knowingly. So that is removed by the masters pointing out to us that I am that Brahman. Aparoksha Atma Vijnanam. But as the master points out, and I take that, I listen to that, and I reflect on that, I meditate on that, and I realize that yes, I am that self. In that state of meditation, I have the experience where the mind does not move, there is no modification, and I am able to see that it is because of the presence of the self that the mind does not move, and I realize that I am that self which is causing the mind to stay still. When I realize that, all the sins, all the good actions and the bad actions that I've committed over lifetimes together, and the cause for all those actions, the cause is ajnana. I don't know who I am. That is the cause for all these actions that I do. And that I don't know, and all the sins are completely removed because of that aparoksha atma vijnanam. Because of that realization of the self, realization of the self within. So beautiful these verses are. How much ever we contemplate, it is not enough. Paroksha Jnana, for example, I've just written it in a simple way. Paroksha Jnana cures the headache. We have a problem. That problem is cured by, like how doctors cure our problems, medical problems, by giving us medicines. Paroksha Jnana, given by the doctor of the spirit, which is our guru, it cures the headache. Aparoksha Jnana, when I imbibe it and I take it within me, that Aparoksha Jnana removes the cause for the headache. The cause for the headache is all the bad actions that I have done, and the bad actions I have done is caused by ignorance of who I am. Because I am ignorant of who I am, I have been thinking I am something else, and I have done so many things to sustain that wrong thought. And that cause of ignorance is removed by Aparoksha Jnana. Then what happens? Itham Tatwa Vivekam, Itham Tatwa Vivekam Vidhaya, Vidhivan Manasas Samadhaya, Vikalita Samsruti Bandha, Prapnoti Param Padam Naro Nachirat. So what happens to that person who gets this knowledge of the self? Itham, in this way, Tatva Vivekam Vidhaya. Tatva Vivekam means the differentiation between the tattvas, the 5 elements of the world outside, the five aspects of our body, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. All the elements, I separate them and I know. And then I come to know of the self also. Vidhaya, Vidivat. How? It is through the process that is taught by the Shastras and the Guru. Vidhivat Manasas Samadhaya. It is not like I just attain that Samadhi by some means. I don't know how I attain Samadhi. Because I don't know how, I will always go back to ignorance. If I do something without knowledge of what I am doing, then that knowledge is not complete because I don't have the knowledge. It should become, I should be able to go into Samadhi with the right knowledge at every step. Manasaha Samadhaya, I steady the mind. Vigalita Samsruti Bandhaha. For such a person, Samsruti is movement and change. The change is outside. The mind is constantly experiencing change. The mind is going through changes because the mind is fixated upon the outside through the sense organs. So the mind is experiencing change. When the mind involves within to the self, it stops experiencing change. Vigalita Samsruti Bandhaha. So it is free from change. It is free from samsara. Then what happens? Prapnoti Param Padam Naro Na Chirat. That individual, that human being, attains Param Padam, that supreme place. Na Chirat means immediately. It doesn't take a long time. It just happens immediately. Iti Panchadashyam Tatva Vivekakyam Prathama Prakaranam Samaptam. So the first Prakarana of Panchadashi is over with this. So we will see what we can take up next Sunday for our vision of Vedanta. Om Sarvesham. We will go to the first verse. Navashri Shankarananda Gurupadambu Janmane Savila Samaha Moha Graha Grasaika Karmane. Because any text we finish, it is not ending with that, but it is a beginning. We go back to the beginning so that it is a repetitive process, this whole studying, until that knowledge becomes our own and we become free of samsara. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya, मृत्योर्मा मृतं गमय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। बोले श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेवा। हरि